So at CNN in Atlanta, protests have erupted by Black Lives Matter, along with many other states in the U.S. right now over Floyd's death. The sad thing is, Floyd's girlfriend came out and said that he was against the stuff, and videos have actually shown up of him like talking to children about stopping the gang culture and things like that. And they burned his city down and some kind of justice pursuit, which is bullshit. Now, it's kind of funny to see CNN being the one being attacked, considering that they do show favoritism towards these groups like BLM and Antifa, even though they are domestic terrorist groups, as has been shown this past 3 days in a row. On top of that, their past history, and CNN has given them favorable coverage, even when Antifa goes down and starts fights and hurts journalists like Andy Go or Nago, I believe it's pronounced. So it's funny to see it on the other foot, but I do disavow this should not be happening. These protesters are in the wrong. I mean, just late last night, they had coverage coming out where a CNN reporter is standing in front of what I believe is the police station on fire, talking about how the protest is a little rowdy.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly. But fires have been started, and there's a crowd that is.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow still try to turn this on Trump or Republicans. And I really don't know how, when people are wearing Black Lives Matter t-shirts, waving the flag, holding up signs saying abolish police, and they have really vandalized their place, their headquarters. They've also broken a bunch of the windows. They have set several police cars on fire, along with breaking the glass out of the cruisers. Now, obviously, BLM has been full of shit when they said that this stuff is justice for what happened, and that this stuff is somehow okay, attacking random businesses. A black man who was a firefighter and a coach for the city where the shooting, or sorry, not the shooting, where Floyd died, what he had his dream job that he's been saving up after, years of firefighting, saving these people, burnt down. And that was somehow justice. Now, I know Antifa and I believe BLM were classified by the FBI as domestic terrorists, and I've always wondered why the cops or the National Guard never get involved when shit is going down with them. And this is what happens when they don't. I just had to text my friends and my family about staying away from downtown because the riots have spread to where I live. And they are terrified. I have told every friend that I know who owns a gun to make sure their gun stays by them. I even had footage where in Washington they took down the barriers, the temporary barriers, where cops were pushing them back and trying to put them back up. Even though Trump launched the investigation the same day that the death happened, they were still holding up signs saying stop killing black men, like it's Trump's fault. And now CNN is on the other foot, and they see what their years of racial escalation has led to. They have fueled a race war. They have purposely divided race just for their stupid fucking ratings and their political agenda, and they've seen firsthand what it has become. There is no more covering up protests. And I see both liberal and Republican making stupid fucking statements about what's going on. Like liberals saying whether MAGA people have to say if they're violent thugs or if they're just, going up against an oppressive system. They're violent thugs through and through. They're not caring about an oppressive system. They are just wanting to attack people. They're violent criminals. And I see people who are condoning what's happening to CNN because it's CNN. But just because they're lying scumbags does not mean that somebody is allowed to harm them or even take their life or destroy their property. Even if they are making some pretty funny memes, I don't think that it's okay that this is happening, even if it's CNN. I don't know how CNN's going to change going forward. I seriously doubt that they're going to give up their political bias, even with this happening. We have seen so many people just with so much mental gymnastics that they can justify anything. Even if cops around the U.S. got hurt or even killed for something that happened in a different state, they would find some way to say that it's okay. But they also know that they're vulnerable like the rest of us. But they also know that if they speak out, then BLM and Tifa and places like that will come back. What happened was an unjustified killing of a black man by a white officer who undoubtedly was racial motivated. Either that or he was extremely power hungry, and I'm leaning really towards the racist thing. But burning down the man's cities, burning down the 5-story housing low income apartments that was being worked on that the city needed, attacking black businesses for what a white cop did. The white cop lost his job. He's under investigation and everything, but what did you guys do? You guys accomplished nothing but harmed your fellow man. This was never about justice. These were people taking advantage of others. These were terrible people who found any reason that they could to justify the horrible things they are doing. And they are no better than any other terrorist group, whether it's something domestic, foreign, or harming other people, especially the ones who have not harmed you, is never justice. In situations like this, those who are rich and in power lose nothing, but those who were already oppressed and impoverished lost everything. All because these people wanted to act selfishly. All because these are violent people who found what they believe is a justification because morons at like places like CNN and people on Twitter said that it's okay. And I'm just grateful that one in my state, the protest really isn't too far and historically doesn't get very far, doesn't spread out much, and there isn't a whole lot of damage. And that two, I live in a state that does have good gun laws. Yes, we have restrictions that I do believe were needed, but it's also not been made impossible to get a weapon. And now I know that my friends are safe. I know that my friends who either are husbands or have husbands can protect the ones they love. When these riots started and businesses were being attacked in this man's state, the community came together, black, white, it didn't matter. The gun owners came together and protected their stores and their fellow man. And I'm just happy for that.
While our camera was there, looters came back to try to steal his safe.
Right, trying to steal the safe.
I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna work so hard to get here. So hard.
There was one guy, like I mentioned, a firefighter who has served this community and is a father of 4 and has coached these kids who probably ended up being the same ones who broke into his bar that he never got to open because when he finally could, COVID hit. And then he had to watch people break into it, steal everything. Then when he did an interview with CNN, on the interview, they came in, stole his safe, and he started crying, and then came home, went to bed with all this grief, just to find out the next day at work that it was burnt down. How in the fuck was that justice?